Okay, guess we're back on now. Welcome. This is Eliminator Tarot. Thanks so much for joining as always. I'm going to be reading for the sign of Scorpio, Sun, Moon, Rising. For now, until roughly a month later, this is going to actually be more so of a timeless reading, though, and it will allow you to just kind of see how your energies are operating and the direction and the trajectory that they're going in for the next period of time. I'm just going to keep it really simple and everything, and try to look into what we can expect for this period. If you like what you see here on this channel, please be sure to give a like, share, subscribe, ding the notification bell so you don't miss any updates from future postings. And additionally, support the channel however you want to or can. That said, we're moving into the reading for Scorpio. And I do believe that this is quite an intense one, as a lot of them have been over the last few readings or so. So when we get to you, we're looking into the tarot and these oracle messages. They're coming from the Wild Unknown. So we have the Wild Unknown tarot deck, and then we also have the archetypes emanations. And so for this, the card that I chose for you for the archetype was the Dead End. With the Dead End, it tells us a little bit about a story in which you are dealing with an obstruction, you're dealing with difficulties in moving forward and making progress with something. So I'll go ahead and just read it to you, so that way not only do I get a chance to learn what these readings are talking about, but I also get a chance to explain further in detail about what this entails. So, contrary to what its name implies, the Dead End is very much alive. It is a force that stops us from moving forward as planned. It is thick, dense, uncompromising. A wall beyond all walls. With every bramble, thorn, and stone, it simply states, "No more, child." You have reached the last page of this chapter. It is natural to resist its very resistance and struggle even harder to make our way, to prove our point, to hold on to what was. In this way, we fight with life itself. From a mythic perspective, the end you face is very much a beginning. There are doors opening all around you, just not the one that you planned on walking through. If you are honest and courageous enough to accept, adjust, and adapt, the dead end becomes known as life's beginning. So this is about being humble, accepting, finding relief, and an understanding and a reverence for change. So what we can talk about is, and I think I mentioned this into another reading earlier on, I think it was with one of the earth signs. The song that they're recommending for this is The Gambler. I guess it's you have to know how to hold them, know how to fold them, know when to relinquish the power that you have lost in trying to pursue a specific goal. And what we can say about this, and what I can say about this from personal experience, sometimes life, you get exactly what you want, but it's not in the way that you expected to receive it. So, for example, I can relate to this in my life when I wanted to pursue a specific, woman, or I wanted to pursue a specific job. And I didn't get that one that I wanted, but it happened in a completely different way, which was even better. So by remaining open to all of the possibilities of the universe, in trying to reach a specific destination in your life, you remain open to receiving the best possible path out of this whole plethora of options that you have before you. What you're doing is you're releasing the things that no longer work, so that way you can find the things that do work and that work beyond what your mind could perceive at the time. So, for example, for me, I was like, I need to be a journalist. I want to stay being a journalist. I want to go out and cover stories. That didn't happen. Journalism dried up. It became highly centralized. AI came in, and journalism for me now is something more of a hobby, especially if you want to tell the truth. Yes, BBC, I'm talking to you. But, nowadays, I get more into kind of like writing more specific or, kind of topics and things like that, or more things related to engineering. So for me, I didn't expect to get into that. It wasn't in my radar at one point. I didn't think I had the skills to do it. But a former friend of mine, he recommended it to me, and he said, "Hey, perhaps you should become this." And I was like, "Okay, let's give it a shot." And the dead end I was facing when I was trying to, push for being a content writer or a journalist and things like that, I left it. I gave it up. I relinquished control. And then in return, what I did is I gave that a shot, and like that, everything started to fall into place. So it is about the universe trying to direct you to the place which works the best for you in your life. And it usually is not the path that you think you see. It's the path that is unseen, that is hidden, in plain sight, right under your nose. That's the one that typically works out the best. So in saying that, we're going to look into what we have here, because it does kind of tell that same story. So firstly, we've got the Three of Wands in the reverse. And this tells us a lot about not seeing your ships come in, not wanting to wait for something specifically, and not being able to make it to the Four of Wands, which is that celebration. And what's brought this on, Hermit? You're being guided to go within. You're being guided to actually do your best to see the way forward by taking a break, extricating yourself, moving yourself away from all of the things that are distracting you, and going into solitary energy, so that way you can best find the right path for you moving forward. If you do not do this, then that is the thing that is blocking your path. So the Three of Wands in the reverse, that is absolutely telling us about the blocked path that you face, because that thing that you want is not coming in. When it's in the upright, your ships are coming in. And so what you're now being forced to do is to be alone. Stop worrying about other people, externalities, go within and find out where the answer lies. And so in doing so, this is what takes place, the current energy. You have the Seven of Cups, and you have the Strength. So because you've held back, because you've actually decided that you're going to take a step back, pause for a minute, and then contemplate the options available to you, what's taken place now is that you have all of these options available to you, which is exactly what you wanted to. So now you have all these different things to choose from. You have cups, some have good options in them, some have bad options in them, according to the Rider-Waite version of this. What it shows here, if you look carefully, you can see that there is a cup in the middle that has a clear pathway forward. All the others do not. Kind of reminds me of like bowling, when you have all these pins and you have to go down the middle pin in order to knock all the rest of them out. And with this, when you take the time to actually make a sound, solid decision, that is precisely when the answer comes to you. So it's not so much about seeking something, it's about waiting for the answer to come to you. And I just explained, I believe it was to Pisces. It was either Pisces or Cancer. I talked about the story of me being in Reykjavik and chasing after the Northern Lights and chasing and going and going. It was until I pulled back, stopped, showed gratitude, that the answer came to me, that I was able to see the Northern Lights. And that was in the midst of a shit show of a snowstorm and being disappointed for multiple nights, but still having a great time in Reykjavik. It was a lovely chance to actually be back in Scandinavia and appreciate the culture there. That said, what you're doing now is a similar thing. You're pausing, you're reflecting, going into, the Hermit and Strength. So these are the cards that are showing where you are now, currently. And by doing that, holding back, that is when you can finally see those options materialize, because then you can create the fertile ground that allows you to contemplate which ones to take place next. Then you go finally into the Queen of Swords energy. And with Queen of Swords, this is clarified by the 10 of Wands in the reverse. Once you get clear on what it is that you want to achieve and the best path forward, and to strategize, again, you're still in your feminine, which is unlike the King of Swords, which is kind of like the strategist. The Queen of Swords welcomes those things in, but she cuts out the things that do not serve as she is receiving that information, that data. I can parse through this data, that data doesn't make sense, so on and so on. So as you're contemplating those options, you're then starting to cut through the ones that don't work. And that is in turn releasing this burden that you feel from this blockage in your life that is preventing you from being able to see the best way forward. So this is kind of like your lighthouse moment when you're able to be guided properly into the harbor. So you have the Hermit here, which is that guiding light, because the Hermit holds the light of the star, which is the guiding force, the true north. And this is precisely what you want to get into when you are searching through a dark time, a dark night of the soul. It is the dark night of the soul card. But even more so, when you are seeking answers, you let the universe provide those for you, rather than trying to seek out a bunch of things. Have you ever known, like, for example, you've been, a friend, or a family member or someone, they're constantly in a relationship, they're constantly getting their back broken out by random people and complaining about love, when all they need to do is take time away and wait for the right option, and to be discerning in that, so that they can release the burden. Because once you get into the discerning energy, that's when things start to move forward. Instead of just accepting every random option that comes in, no pun intended, then you can finally get into an energy where you can make critical decisions that are going to be long-term better for you and more sound and stable. And that is doing that by holding back and recognizing that it's important for you to see things for what they are and not focus so much on the massive amount of expectation that you have for the outcome. So in this energy specifically, you're being blocked from that. Oh, when is it coming in? When is it coming in? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? It's not gonna work that way. And the reason why I say that is because in the outcome, you have two beautiful cards. So if this is a love-related situation, you have the Lover's card, and then you have the Knight of Cups. The outcome of your situation is wonderful because you have made the effort to pull your energy back and be discriminating. And this is one thing that I always say to people, is like, when people are like, oh, you discriminated against me. Yes, I fucking discriminated against you, because perhaps the things that you're doing, you're behaving like a knobhead, or you're behaving like someone who is, doing stupid stuff. We're going to just keep it at that. Being able to discriminate, to discern, to understand, to recognize patterns, that is key to survival. And I think that what you've done throughout this dead end situation, you have released yourself from that, because you can see in the dead end here, you have all of these brambles, these bushes. That's representative of the wand's energy. And then in the last card, you have the Ten of Wands in the reverse. You're breaking those brambles out so that you can move forward. Then you come into the Lover's card and you come into the Knight of Cups, which is then the decision to choose the best love option, the decision to choose something that makes you feel joy, the decision to choose life because you still have breath and because you still have, a raison d'etre, is the reason to exist. You have the desire to carry on. You have the desire to choose the best possible option, whether that is to love yourself, to love the right person who actually matches what you're genuinely looking for, rather than a fling or a short-term thing. You're choosing to carry on with life, even though things become difficult. And by doing all of these things, taking the time to understand where you're moving in life, that is how you succeed. So that's going to be it for today. Thanks so much. This is Aluminum Tarot. If you like what you see here again, feel free to leave a like, share, subscribe, ding the notification bell. And I'm going to leave it at that. Thanks so much. And until next time, love and light.